There have been many amazing horror games through the decades, and each one of them has its own standout moment that makes you jump out of your seat. Some even made you quit the game entirely, at least temporarily. Welcome to HotFix Gaming. I'm Joy. Today, we'll look at 10 such horrifying moments that made you nope out of a horror game. But before we get started, we need to warn you, there might be some spoilers ahead. So if you haven't played any of the games listed on screen right now, tread carefully. With that being said, let's get started. Number 10, Little Nightmares 2, The Teacher. The first Little Nightmares game was extremely popular, since it was so different from other horror games and offered a very unpredictable ending. And the second installment brings gamers yet another thrilling experience. The new protagonist of the game is named Mono, who is also a small person just like Six, the main character of Little Nightmares. Playing as Mono, you'll find a new friend that will accompany you in the dark forest. You'll discover that you're in a mysteriously deserted city, leaving you no choice but to move forward. Your character and his friend will eventually arrive in a classroom, and this is where the fun begins. If you're spotted by the teacher, the chase begins. What makes this chase so scary is not just the teacher's appearance, but the fact that her neck extends whenever she's triggered. And to make matters worse, she can chase you up to the vents too, so no place is safe. Number 9, Evil Inside, the baby jump scare. Some have jokingly called this game a jump scare generator, but the fact is that even though you expect something to jump out at you at every corner, you still get a fright. The story of this title revolves around a man named Mark who's investigating the family house in order to uncover the truth about his mother's death. The family house is stuck within a loop, and Mark's objectives can only be achieved through finding and solving puzzles, as well as obtaining Ouija board pieces. The baby jump scare happens at the beginning of the game, when players are still trying to figure out what the heck is happening around them and get familiar with the house. They go through the hall for the first time, and they encounter the baby, which represents the ghost of Mark's little brother. It's unexpected, loud, and happens at a moment when you'd think the atmosphere is calm, and that's what makes it so frightful. Number 8, Resident Evil 7. To be honest, Resident Evil 7 has plenty of scary scenes that could all make you pause for a minute and check your pulse to make sure you're still alive. There's the scene where Ethan is pinned against the wall by a screwdriver that was shoved through his hand by none other than his wife, Mia. While Ethan manages to pull his hand free, Mia attacks him with a chainsaw and saws off his hand. I guess now would probably be a good time for divorce. There's also the iconic scene where Jack Baker bursts through the wall and then proceeds to follow you around, making the entire scene a prolonged nope. And of course, if you have a VR machine, then you're in for quite the ride, as everything is 10 times more immersive and more frightening. Number 7, Bioshock, the Dentist. So some of us have very specific phobias that games just love to make the most of. Teeth fears in particular are something that plenty of games love to gently tap into, like a dentist checking for weaknesses. For instance, anyone who has even a remote fear of either dentists or tooth-based horror should absolutely avoid Psychonauts 2. But anyway, in Bioshock, you also get some teeth-related horror as you make your way to Rapture's Painless Dental. Quite the ironic name. Not only does a cloud of gas descend and a corpse appear in the chair, but after picking up some plasmids, an evil dentist splicer looms out of the mist behind you in a truly bone-churning jump scare. It's enough to make you want to floss every day, without needing to be told. Number 6, Visage, the entire Dolores chapter. Sad Square Studios' 2020 psychological horror game Visage is so scary, it's honestly hard to even watch clips of the game if you're not a horror fan. The game is divided into several chapters, and perhaps the most mind-breaking and terrifying is called Dolores. You'll wander through a very spooky house, learn its layout, and see its stories unfold as you go. You have a sanity meter to contend with, and paranormal events will occur as you move about the map. The Dolores chapter delivers a plethora of unexpected scares and an endlessly mounting dread that escalates to the point where you can't quite take it anymore. Catching horrible things out of the corner of your eye that you can't totally confirm you saw, hearing indecipherable, unsettling things, and trying to press on is a serious exercise in being the baddest, bravest gamer around. And if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit that like button as it helps us grow and bring you even more gaming content. Number 5. Resident Evil Village, the giant baby. Despite Capcom very publicly stating that Resident Evil Village was going to be less scary than RE7 after feedback that people kept noping out, this 2021 title contains a truly terrifying sequence. Survive the grand lair of Lady Dimitrescu, and your next location is the home of the dollmaker, Donna Beneviant. Those with a fear of Chucky won't enjoy the frenzied boss fight that concludes the section, but the sequence leading up to it in the doll workshop, it's pure nightmare fuel. Wandering the silent, dread-laced corridors with no means of protection as a radio crackles and shapes flicker briefly through frosted windows would be quite enough. But the true terror comes once you've solved the mannequin on the table puzzle and finally try to make your escape. The giant baby-like monstrosity that looms out of the darkness, screeching in the corridor, is the kind of horror that might actually push your sanity beyond its limits. Number 4. Outlast 2, The Heretics. Outlast 2 may have critically been less well received than the first game and its DLC, but Outlast 2 comes with plenty of gut-wrenching material. While not all of it is as gore-heavy as the first games, Outlast 2 certainly knows how to form a knot in players' stomachs. While trying to rescue his pregnant wife Lynn, who's been captured by Val and the Heretics, Blake stumbles upon a truly unsettling scene as he finds his wife strung up as a religious figure in front of all the cult members as they engage in an orgy. Blake is suddenly pinned down by Val, and it's implied that he's sexually assaulted by her. If this wasn't gut-wrenching enough, this event immediately triggers a memory of young Blake letting his friend Jessica be taken advantage of and later killed by their teacher, Father Loutermilch. Number 3. The Last of Us Part 2, The Rat King. The Last of Us doesn't always get the love the franchise deserves for being a genuinely effective piece of horror, but the series' scariest moment has to be the confrontation with an almost indescribable monstrosity in The Last of Us Part 2, known simply as the Rat King. This mutated collection of terrors is so wildly different from everything else you've seen in the game up until this point, but not even the hints that there could be something truly terrible lurking in this area's depths are enough to properly prepare you for the reveal. It's the moment that this series goes full 80s gross-out horror, and it's brilliant. Number 2. Dead Space 2, Titan Elementary School. Titan Elementary School is easily one of the most disturbing stages in the game. The school was presumably the main source of most of the necromorphs, as it's swarmed by crawlers and the pack. It's an incredibly eerie place, made worse by the knowledge that it used to house innocent children who fell prey to terrifying abominations. Children are always innocent, so when something bad happens to them, we're always sad about it, more so than when something happens to an adult. Knowing what happened and seeing its aftermath, listening to the recording of a devastated mother is just horrible and gut-wrenching, and it just makes you want to quit the game. The note moment for me was when you go down the school stage and get jumped by a swarm of necromorphs. Number 1. Alien Isolation, the AI. 1979's Alien by director Ridley Scott is probably one of the greatest and most influential horror films ever produced. Developer Creative Assembly's Alien Isolation flawlessly captures the tone and terror from the first film, mainly thanks to the Central Xenomorph's unparalleled artificial intelligence. The AI is horrific, as it keeps track of your previous hiding spots and actively seeks them out. Of course, this was something we already knew about, even before the title was released, but the thing is, seeing the monster in action and hearing it described are two entirely different things. And of course, everything is 10 times worse if you play the game with a microphone connected to your console. The Xenomorph can actually hear you through the mic and find you based sometimes on just your shallow breathing. Oh, it makes for a truly terrifying experience. What other scenes or moments have made you nope out of a game? Let us know your top choices in the comment section below. And if you enjoy gaming content and want more, make sure to check out the 2 videos we've linked on screen. We have plenty of gaming videos, so while you're at it, make sure to also subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon.